Amara is caught in chaos as a charging elephant scatters a group of tourists. Paralyzed with fear, she is left behind while the others flee. Just as she braces for the worst, the elephant unexpectedly nudges her hand with surprising gentleness. Realizing it wants her to follow, she hesitantly takes her first steps into the unknown. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming stories. Amara checked into the quiet resort nestled at the edge of the jungle, her excitement buzzing as she thought of the adventure that awaited her. She'd come here to experience the wild like never before, to step into a world she'd only seen in documentaries and read about in travel guides. The jungle safari was the safest way to get close to nature, to witness the animals in their untouched habitat. Signing up for the tour, she let herself drift to sleep, eager for what the morning would bring. The dawn brought a soft, amber light over the trees as Amara prepared for her journey. By the time she arrived at the landmark meeting point, a few other tourists were already gathered, murmuring in anticipation. A rugged jeep was parked nearby, and their guide, a quiet man with eyes that seemed to know the forest's every secret. The group climbed into the jeep, and Amara felt a thrill of energy in the air as they set off, the hum of the engine blending with the awakening sounds of the jungle around them. As the jeep wove its way into the dense forest, Amara's senses sharpened with every bump and turn. She breathed deeply, taking in the earthy scents and the occasional rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush. Their guide pointed out a flash of vibrant feathers here, a wary deer peering through the leaves there, and each sighting left her in awe of the untamed beauty surrounding them. This was the escape she'd hoped for, a world alive with sights and sounds far from the hum of city life. Soon they reached a clearing where the group was encouraged to step out and observe. Amara glanced around, feeling the vastness of the forest stretching in every direction. The jeep, their only way back to civilization, sat waiting as they wandered a few paces away, taking in the quiet majesty of their surroundings, lost in the gentle breeze and soft rustling of the leaves, until a strange, low rumble broke through the peace. It was distant at first, almost like thunder, but it grew louder with each passing second. Amara turned, eyes widening as a massive elephant burst from the trees, trumpeting in alarm and charging toward the scattering tourists. The group dissolved into chaos, people yelling and stumbling as they fled. But as the others vanished into the underbrush, Amara found herself rooted in place, her gaze locking with the elephants as it slowed, focusing solely on her. This wasn't merely a frightened animal. It seemed as if it wanted something from her. It was trying to lead someone, and since Amara hadn't fled like the other tourists, it appeared to have settled on her. Her trembling fingers grazed the handle of the small camping knife in her bag. Against a creature so massive, that tiny blade was hopelessly inadequate. From behind her, the frantic shouts of the other tourists pierced the forest stillness. Amara turned her head, catching sight of their wide, panicked eyes through the trees. The tour guide was shouting something in his native language, his voice frantic, gesturing desperately. The elephant paused, head turned slightly as if to listen, and its dark eyes flicked back to Amara, conveying an unspoken message: follow. Taking a step forward, it seemed to watch her carefully, as though making sure she was following. With a deep, shaky breath, she took her first step forward, drawn into the forest shadows. Dense foliage closed around them, casting the path into shadow. But the elephant moved with purpose, leading her in a way that seemed too direct to be random. The air thick with the sense of damp soil and foliage. With every step, she felt herself sink deeper into the unknown. As the forest grew denser, strange sounds filled the air. Insects buzzed in heavy clouds, their hum settling into an odd sort of rhythm, and Amara caught fleeting glimpses of birds swooping between branches. She glanced behind her, half hoping to see some of the other tourists or even the guide. She was completely alone with this animal, her protector and captor all at once. After what felt like hours of walking, Amara noticed her heartbeat slowing to match the gentle sway of the elephant's footsteps. Suddenly, the trees opened up to reveal a small clearing. Amara's eyes widened as she took in the scene before her. A dilapidated tent, tattered and weathered, surrounded by scattered crates and metal traps. It had the unmistakable, ugly look of a poacher's hideout. A deep, simmering tension filled the air as she took a step closer, unable to tear her eyes from the ugly remnants of human interference. Every part of her screamed to turn and run, but she couldn't, not with the elephant beside her, unwavering. Amara's eyes locked onto the trembling elephant calf bound tightly to a stake. The mother's urgency now made sense. She had led Amara here to help. The calf's wide, fearful eyes sent a jolt of determination through her. Heart pounding, she gripped her small knife, the metal cold against her palm. She crouched low, creeping forward through the underbrush. The damp scent of earth thick around her. Dry leaves and twigs threatened to betray her with every step, but she moved carefully, her breath shallow, controlled. Beyond the clearing, hushed voices drifted closer. Two figures lingered near a stack of crates, their posture relaxed, unaware of the intruder in their midst. She scanned the ground and spotted a small rock nestled in the dirt. Fingers tightening around it, she tossed it toward the far side of the camp. The faint thud sent a ripple of tension through the air. One of the men stirred, boots scraping as he turned toward the noise. The other remained still, uninterested. After a moment's hesitation, the first man moved off to investigate. The opportunity was fleeting, but it was enough. Amara slipped forward, pressing herself against the rough surface of a crate. Weaving between barrels, she edged closer to the calf. A sudden shift in the air sent a chill through her. Footsteps, heavier than before, approached from behind. The returning poacher was too close. She froze, pressing herself deeper into the shadows, willing the darkness to conceal her as the slow, deliberate crunch of boots drew near. Amara's grip on the knife trembled, knowing discovery meant no escape. The poacher hesitated, scanning the area, his gaze passing just inches above her crouched form. After a tense moment, he dismissed the noise and turned away, giving her the chance she needed. Moving quickly but silently, she slipped between the tents and crates, each step calculated. The calf's trembling form came into full view, its panicked eyes locked onto hers. Determination surged through her as she knelt, her fingers brushing the damp earth. The calf's breath came in sharp, frightened bursts, but there was no time for hesitation. She sawed through the thick ropes, every movement precise, but before she could free the last strand, voices carried through the air. The poachers, restless and impatient, were discussing their departure. She knew she had only seconds. As the final rope snapped, the calf bolted, its small frame vanishing into the forest. The rustling drew the poacher's attention instantly. Heavy footsteps pounded toward her. Before she could react, strong hands seized her arms, yanking her upright. The sharp grip made her gasp, but her struggles were useless against their strength. Cold, assessing eyes took her in as one of the men sneered. His scarred companion grabbed his rifle, leveling it at her chest. A low, cruel chuckle followed as they debated her fate. The verdict was swift. She would be tied up and abandoned, left to fate as they made their escape. Just as panic threatened to overtake her, a deep, earth-shaking rumble shattered the moment. The ground trembled, the air itself vibrating with power. The poacher's smug expressions turned to confusion, then fear. Trees swayed as a massive shape emerged from the dense undergrowth. The mother elephant, ears flared and eyes burning with fury, had returned. It let out a deafening trumpet, sending birds into the sky and freezing the poachers in place. The ground seemed to tremble as the elephant charged, tearing through the undergrowth with unstoppable force. The men panicked, dropping their weapons and scrambling in a frantic retreat. Amara seized the moment, slipping free and sprinting through the dense jungle. Her pulse pounded as branches clawed at her skin, but she didn't stop until she reached a small clearing. There, the calf stood waiting, its tiny trunk reaching toward her in desperation. Relief surged through her as the mother elephant emerged from the shadows, standing protectively by their side. They moved together through the jungle, the rhythmic steps of the elephants calming her nerves. But then a sharp snap. The air tensed, a blur whizzed past her, followed by the crack of gunfire. The mother elephant let out a deep, rumbling cry, guiding Amara and the calf into the underbrush. Behind them, two figures closed in, their movements swift and relentless. Amara pushed forward, matching the calf's rapid steps as they maneuvered deeper into the jungle. Suddenly, the mother elephant halted, turning to face the danger. She planted herself between them and the approaching poachers. Ears flared wide, an immovable force. Amara hesitated, torn, but the mother's firm stance left no doubt. This was her stand. With a final glance, Amara grabbed the calf's trunk and ran, disappearing into the jungle as the mother elephant held her ground. Unsure whether to stay close or keep running, Amara hesitated. The mother elephant gave her a firm but gentle nudge, pushing her and the calf forward. Understanding the silent command, she turned and followed, her legs still trembling from the chase. The calf whimpered but stayed close, moving deeper into the trees with Amara at its side. Every sound around them felt magnified. The rustling leaves, the distant calls of birds, the steady rhythm of their footsteps against the forest floor. A glance over her shoulder revealed the mother elephant still blocking the poacher's path, standing tall and unmoving, but time was running out. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy as they emerged into a clearing. At the far edge, a group of people stood gathered, the tourist from earlier now accompanied by forest rangers. Relief surged through Amara, her breath catching as she pressed forward. One of the tourists spotted her first, and soon the rangers moved into action. Their sharp eyes quickly assessed the situation, their attention shifting to the approaching poachers. The men hesitated, realizing too late that they were outnumbered. They attempted to flee, but the rangers closed in swiftly, capturing them before they could vanish into the trees. A weight lifted from Amara's chest as the immediate danger passed. The calf pressed close, its small trunk brushing against her hand in silent relief. Moments later, the mother elephant stepped forward, placing her trunk over the calf's back. As the poachers were led away, the rangers began documenting the scene, speaking with the tourists and assessing the evidence left behind. Amara remained still, her gaze fixed on the elephants. The jungle no longer felt dangerous, but instead alive, filled with an understanding she hadn't noticed before. It was time to leave. Amara turned, taking one last look before following the others. As she stepped away, she felt the mother elephant's eyes on her. A silent farewell, a shared understanding that their paths had crossed for a reason. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming stories.